feel like I've come home, and that's how Cardozo feels. It's a very special place. And I think you all know that, and everyone who's left it, for whatever reason, knows it, and I know Martha knows it as well. I had a debate whether I was going to try to be humorous or speak from the heart. As Linda said, I decided I was going to speak from the heart, but I have to write it down, so you'll have to bear with me. I think you just have to look around the room to know the impact that Martha has had. There are more than 100 people here, past and present members of the Cardozo faculty, and they're here on a Monday night, $50 a head. There aren't too many people they would do that for. Not just for anyone, and Martha certainly isn't just anyone. I think this turnout eloquently attests to the deep affection we have for you, Martha. You have genuinely enriched the life of everyone you have known, and I am grateful to be among them. I have so many memories of Martha, both as a colleague and a very close friend. And when I piece these together, they paint a vivid picture of an extraordinary person whose grace, kindness, cheerfulness, and integrity defined her. And already they talked about Martha being cheerful and her smile and never complaining. And I either have to repeat some of that or just sit down. So I'm going to have to refer to some of those things as well. But there are a few other things that I want to add. First of all, I still miss Martha's warm smile and friendly hello that greeted me each and every time I saw her. And it didn't matter, Martha, if it was the 5th or the 6th time in a day, it was always the same greeting. And that's just because you can't stop yourself from smiling and being friendly and welcoming. I'm also, as Bert referred to, I'm in awe of the fact that although we worked closely together for 5 years during very difficult times, in an extremely challenging job that was quite onerous, we went through budget cuts and overcrowding and equalization, a term, they look at me like I'm speaking a foreign language if I even mention that, state audits, class caps, class size grievances, deadlines, new Board of Ed regulations. I could go on and on and on. Try as I might, I cannot think of one time that Martha ever complained. Ever. And I would defy anyone here to think of a time that Martha complained. Now, let's face it, with a group of teachers and administrators, it's pretty hard to find anyone who doesn't complain, and Martha never did. Something else she never did is that she never, ever spoke ill of anyone. Now, I would say that was probably her worst flaw. It's the only thing I really didn't like. I couldn't get her to say anything bad about anybody. Now, she was tempted to at times, and Martha, I think you'll agree, because sometimes I would see a grimace, sometimes she would begin to form the words, but then she would stop, and I would wait expectantly, thinking to myself, come on, Martha. Come on, you can do it. I know you can do it. Say something nasty, please. I'll help you. Never happened. But she did laugh at my sarcasm and my comments, and she does have a beautiful, deep, and hearty laugh. It's a pleasure. It makes a great audience, and I always like a good audience. Her thoughtfulness also abounded. She and her sister, Jeanette, also a dear friend of mine, have always sent a card on my birthday as well as a Valentine. And these little things always mean a lot. And they, too, define Martha. And the kindnesses that she extended to me, that they both extended to me, weren't only for me. No matter who came in the program office, no matter who came upon Martha, no matter what the circumstances, she would stop whatever she was doing, and she was always doing a lot, to help anyone who had a question or needed help. She always took the time. And she would envelop you with her warmth, and inevitably, you always felt better upon leaving than when you entered. Now, people ask me, how many quotes do you have in your speech? I have a couple. Here's the first one. From Aristotle. Joe remembers Aristotle. That was Carl remembers Aristotle. Carl spoke very highly. He said, we are what we repeatedly do. Excellence is not an act, but a habit. And I think anybody who's worked with Martha or knows her that realizes that he must have had her in mind, because she is a woman who has devoted herself to Cardozo, to her colleagues, and to the students we've served. She epitomizes excellence, excellence of the mind, and most especially excellence of the heart. Now, as principal, Martha gave me a wonderful gift. When I knew Martha was going to take care of something, and I know Bert and Rick must have felt the same way, I never had to look back or worry or give it another thought. Martha's doing it, it will be done, end of story, move on, I can worry about something else. But as far as I'm concerned, Martha's greatest gift has been the gift of friendship. A gift she has generously and unselfishly bestowed upon me, as well as all of us sitting here this evening. Above all else, it is that for which I am most grateful. And I think I speak for everyone. I think that is what we must be most grateful for. Here's another quote from James Garfield, not the president. He describes someone, and I think it fits Martha. He said, "There are men and women who make the world better just by being the kind of people they are. They have the gift of kindness or courage or loyalty or integrity. It matters very little whether they are behind the wheel of a truck or running a business or a program chair." I added that part. They teach the truth by living it. And that is Martha. Kindness, courage, loyalty, and integrity. And so, Martha, we are saluting you tonight because you have made the world a bit better simply by being the kind of person you are. We wish you a healthy and a rewarding retirement, one that meets all of your expectations and matches the beauty of all your dreams. We all love you, and I know I love you very much. Wish you the best.
Okay, our next speaker lives across the street from where I went to grammar school in Richmond Hill, and that would be Eileen May.
Good evening, Martha, and your family, and all of us, her friends. It's very difficult to follow such an illustrious and elegant group of speakers, but here goes, and mine is written too. But I must tell you ahead of time that you are spared quite a bit because I edited throughout the previous speeches. But I will give you a full-blown copy of the original. Martha and Cardozo, two words that go together well. Cardozo was graced with Martha's presence for more than 31 years, but I only knew her professionally for 3 of those. Martha amazed me from the beginning. As program chairman with a super support team, she programmed 4,000 student schedules twice a year. I'd like to talk just a bit tonight about the magic that she accomplished while leading that team, but I think everybody already delineated that pretty well. Most of us realize that programming is the key to the smooth operation of a school. Martha made that happen for all of us. The students needed to know where and when to go to receive the instruction that would eventually lead to their high school diploma. She made it possible for the rest of us to do our jobs. Once the students were in classes, our jobs began. Following up to see that the students actually went to their classes was the next priority. Good program sets a positive tone in a building. Martha did more than her share to provide a safe environment for students to learn, teachers to teach, and staff to work. No instructional program design ever met its demise because it couldn't be done. No challenge was ever too great, not even as was usually the case if it was labor intensive. This is the edited part with all the details. Okay. At program planning meetings, Martha always shared her insight and professional experience, and her advice was always very valuable. Martha would listen, think, compute the degree of difficulty, and design the strategy she would then employ to get the job done. Each meeting would end with Martha saying, "Okay, I'll see what I can do." Martha always repeated her magic, never letting us down. And then there were the students. They certainly had their opinions about the classes they had gotten, and the teachers that they would prefer to not to have gotten. Program changes for errors had to be effected, but other program change requests had to be denied. We are sorry you don't like Teacher X, or have an after-school job that starts at 1 p.m. In this regard, Martha was in the eye of the storm, but she did weather it beautifully, like a trooper. Some students were persistent, but Martha had a way of prevailing. With all of these concerns and initiatives, assigning all of the created classes to a room was another act of the wand that Martha pulled off consistently. And with rooms as tight as it was, the school phobic program never did lose its space. Martha was also our data maven. It would amaze me to ask her, to watch her respond to administrative inquiries. How many students have 6 classes, 7 classes? How many students are being served in English or math so that they can get their proper allocation of the NISTL money? Who are the students who failed global history regions? Or which students need support in math or science? And on and on and on. Martha made sure that all the final grades were entered, which was no small feat for 4,000 students. That calculates to about 30,000 marks per marking period. Nevertheless, report cards were distributed 3 times each semester. Our students of math were also the lucky beneficiaries of Martha's clear explanations and patient repetitions of those explanations. I always admired Martha for being a math teacher who liked math and who wanted students to like math too. I was so impressed by this brilliant, dedicated, creative, and gentle math instructor program chairlady that one day I had a conversation with one of our computer technicians, Richie Buckman, which some of you may remember. I remember saying to him how incredible Martha was and how lucky Cardozo was to have her. It was Richie who first coined a phrase that I thought was truly apropos. He said, "Didn't you know? Martha is an angel walking among us." And I wouldn't say that if it weren't true. He was so right. Martha has the patience of a saint, the mind of a mathematician, the generosity of a great philanthropist, and the professional dedication to children that our school system continues to need so desperately. This is the last page. I concluded that Richie was right. It is hard to even fathom the number of hours that Martha devoted to her job. She is an angel walking among us, and she has touched us all in a very different and special way. My life is richer by knowing you, and working with you was pure pleasure. You brightened my day at each encounter, and I don't say that lightly. I am certain all of you in the room share the same sentiment. Martha was a peacekeeper with only kind words to say about everyone. Thank you, Martha, for being you and for doing the mammoth job that you did. You so deserve to enjoy your retirement, and I hope that it is filled with surprises, fun, and loving moments, and no programming dilemmas to resolve. Perhaps you can devote more time to your dollhouses. I wish you good health, good luck, and many, many happy days in your retirement with your family and friends. God bless you.
Hey, everybody. We do have one last speaker out of our main course speakers. He's been your MC for the whole time so far, introducing everyone else. A nice big round of applause for Mike Ricardo, everybody.
I can't write an equation, I can't figure it out. Thank you. We're hearing about all the positive outlook on life that Martha had. In fact, her students behind her back, you know what they used to call her? Absolute Value Martha. Only the math table gets that joke. Oh, we have the secretary laughing. Anyway.
Oh, boy.
That's what the staff But I'll go one step further. Martha not only wouldn't say anything negative about anybody, she would never say anything negative, period. Because I would go into the program office with all these cockamamie ideas for extended periods and so forth. And Martha, instead of saying what was on her mind, she would say, okay. And the longer the K part was, the worse the idea was. That's what I found out. So I would go in there and I would say, Martha, I would like to offer an MQ1 class that meets for a double period every day except for the first Wednesday of the first month. The rest of it occurs after this first Tuesday. And she would be thinking, Mike, can't your classes be 5 periods a week like everybody else? But no, she wouldn't say that. She would say, okay. And then she would somehow get it done. I remember one time I actually went in, because we have a tremendous room problem at Cardozo. I sat down and I figured out a way to solve the room problem. And I said, well, Martha, all we have to do is, we only have 15 rooms in the math department, so all we have to do is, we have all these classes, so I wrote a schedule where, there'd be no more than 15 math classes in a single period. So I went into her and I presented this to her, and she looked at it and she said, okay. The okay took about 10 minutes. I said, Martha, what's the problem? Well, you see this MQ1 class you have first period? Well, there's not going to be any students in there because they don't come in until 9 o'clock. You see that calculus class, you have 11th period, there won't be any students in there either, they're all gone, they're seniors. But she didn't say that. What did she say? Okay. And then I knew I was in trouble. What Martha should have said was, I've been here programming for 25 years. You think I didn't think of this? You think in 10 minutes you could think of to solve the problem? But she didn't say it because Martha never said a bad word about anybody. So, and I can't say any bad words about her either because she's a wonderful person. And Martha, I really hope you enjoy your retirement. We'll really miss you. Thank you.
Another round of applause for Mike Ricardo, everybody. All right, in just a moment, we're going to bring out the cake. You're going to get a chance to take some pictures with our guest of honor. So get your video cameras and still cameras ready. Some Kodak moments coming your way.